95% complete. That is a number paleontologists almost never get to say about a dinosaur. Most Stegosaurus skeletons that end up in museums are stitched together. A leg bone from one quarry, a skull cast from another, plates borrowed from a cousin species to fill the gaps. But every so often, the rock gives up something extraordinary. A single individual, preserved almost whole, exactly as it fell nearly 150 million years ago. This is the story of Stegosaurus. Not the cartoon version with the tiny brain and the dopey grin, but the animal as the fossils actually describe it. Every claim in this video is tied to a real specimen, a real excavation, and a real bone. No speculation without evidence, no reconstruction without a citation. Let's start where the science starts. In the rock. Stegosaurus stenops lived during the late Jurassic Period, roughly 155 to 150 million years ago, in what is now the western United States. It was a large plant-eating dinosaur, walking on 4 thick, pillar-like legs, with a small, elongated skull held low to the ground, and a back lined with a double row of bony plates that swept up into a spiked tail. The genus was first named in 1877 by the American paleontologist Othniel Charles Marsh in the middle of the so-called Bone Wars, a fierce, sometimes reckless rivalry between rival fossil hunters racing to name new dinosaurs faster than anyone else. Marsh's first Stegosaurus fossils were fragmentary, and for decades scientists genuinely argued about how the plates were even arranged on the animal's back. That debate, remarkably, wasn't fully settled until well-preserved specimens gave researchers something solid to measure.
The skull is where a lot of outdated myths about Stegosaurus get corrected. Contrary to old textbook claims of a second brain in the hips controlling the tail, that idea has no anatomical basis. It was 19th century speculation based on an enlarged space in the hip region that we now understand stored a glycogen body, a structure also seen in birds, not a secondary brain. What the skull does show us clearly is a narrow, elongated snout ending in a horn-covered beak with small leaf-shaped teeth set well back in the jaw, teeth built for stripping low vegetation like ferns, cycads, and horsetails, not for heavy chewing. The skull itself is proportionally tiny relative to the body, and the brain case inside it is correspondingly small, roughly the size of a dog's. Notice the jaw joint set low and slightly behind the tooth row, a mechanical detail that would have let the lower jaw slide back as it closed, shearing plant material between the upper and lower teeth. This is a feeding adaptation, not decoration, and it's one of the clearest examples of how fossil bone shape lets scientists reconstruct behavior. The plates are Stegosaurus's signature feature, and also its biggest scientific puzzle. They were not solid bone shields. Histological studies of plate cross-sections show they were thin, honeycombed with blood vessel channels, and covered in life by keratin, the same material as horns and claws. 3 main hypotheses have been debated using fossil evidence. First, display and species recognition. The plates were highly visible from the side, asymmetric in size along the back, and likely brightly colored or patterned in life, which fits a signaling function used in courtship or territorial display between individuals. Second, thermoregulation. The dense network of blood vessels inside the plates could have allowed the animal to shed excess heat, similar to how an elephant uses its ears. Third, and now considered less likely by most researchers, defense. The plates were probably too thin and too positioned to protect against a predator's bite, which shifted scientific focus toward display as the leading explanation. One long-standing debate concerned the arrangement itself. Were the plates in two symmetrical rows or staggered in a single alternating row? Well-preserved specimens, with plates still in near original position, like the one shown here, provided the direct fossil evidence that settled this in favor of a single alternating row running down the midline of the back.
In 2022, a fossil hunter recovered a Stegosaurus skeleton from Jurassic Age rock near Dinosaur, Colorado, a specimen that would eventually be nicknamed Apex. Apex is roughly 11 feet tall and 27 feet long, and consists of 254 fossil bone elements, making it, by bone count, the most complete Stegosaurus skeleton ever discovered. In July 2024, Apex was sold at a Sotheby's auction in New York for just over $44.6 million, the highest price ever paid for a dinosaur fossil at auction, surpassing even Sue, the Tyrannosaurus Rex. The buyer later placed Apex on public loan. What makes Apex scientifically valuable isn't just its completeness, it's the condition of the bones themselves. Because so many elements were found articulated or closely associated in the same excavation, researchers can measure plate size, spacing, and asymmetry with far more confidence than when reconstructing a skeleton from mismatched individuals, which was common practice for most of the 20th century. Unlike the plates, the tail spikes have direct fossil evidence of function. In 1996, paleontologists studying an Allosaurus tail vertebra found a puncture wound whose shape matched a Stegosaurus tail spike almost exactly. This is one of the more famous examples in dinosaur paleontology of trace evidence, direct physical damage, supporting a behavioral hypothesis rather than inference from bone shape alone. The arrangement of spikes at the end of the tail earned an informal but now widely used scientific nickname, the thagomizer, a term originally coined as a joke in a 1982 Far Side comic strip and later adopted seriously by paleontologists because no formal anatomical term existed for that specific structure. Tail vertebrae in well-preserved specimens show the tail had considerable flexibility and could likely be swung with real force, consistent with an active defensive weapon rather than a passive display structure. Adult Stegosaurus specimens are rare enough. Juveniles are rarer still, which makes finds like this especially important. Juvenile skeletons show that young Stegosaurus had proportionally longer legs and a more gracile build than adults, suggesting they may have moved faster relative to their body size before reaching full adult bulk. Growth series comparisons, lining up juvenile, subadult, and adult bones, also show that the plates changed shape substantially as the animal aged, starting narrower and becoming broader and more distinctly diamond or kite-shaped in mature individuals. This kind of ontogenetic evidence, meaning evidence tied to growth stages, helps rule out the idea that plate shape variation always indicates a different species. Sometimes it simply indicates a different age.
Fossil preparation is where the raw discovery becomes scientific data. When a skeleton is found, it typically arrives at a laboratory still encased in surrounding rock, exactly as seen here. Preparators use tools ranging from pneumatic air scribes to fine dental picks to slowly expose bone without damaging it, a process that for a single large specimen can take months or even years. Slab-mounted specimens like this one are especially valuable to researchers because the bones remain in their original death position, what paleontologists call taphonomic context. This tells scientists not just what the animal looked like, but how it died, how the body was buried, and how the plates were actually positioned relative to the spine. Direct evidence rather than assumption. Nearly 150 years after Marsh first named the genus, Stegosaurus remains one of the most recognizable dinosaurs on Earth, and also one of the most revised. Early 20th century mounts got the plate arrangement wrong. Mid-century reconstructions dragged the tail on the ground, an idea later corrected once trackway evidence showed the tail was held clear of the ground for balance and use as a weapon. Even the number of plates and their exact placement continue to be debated well into recent decades. That's really the core lesson fossils like Apex, the juvenile specimens, and the slab-preserved skeletons all teach us. Paleontology isn't a finished picture. It's a discipline that keeps correcting itself every time a more complete skeleton comes out of the ground. Stegosaurus is a reminder of how much can be reconstructed from bone alone. Diet from tooth wear, combat from puncture wounds, growth from plate shape, even likely behavior from blood vessel patterns preserved in fossilized tissue. Every plate, every spike, every socket in that skull is a data point, not a guess. The next time you see a Stegosaurus skeleton in a museum, you're not just looking at the reconstruction of an animal. You're looking at 150 million years of physical evidence, still being read one bone at a time.